Uranium friends, Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. Don't want to not look at the Australian names for my very few Australian friends, but it is part of the space, so we have to look. So Bannerman, we're kicking it off with Bannerman on the weekly. This is a long running line that I've had, and it's still fighting that line since October of 2024, right? And it's back here, January 2024, and it's back here, October 2021. So this level, big level, big level. Let's just look at the monthly here, right? So, um, making a series of monthly higher lows. This little undercut, thank God it saved it there. Wow. Uh, Series of higher lows happening, but we've got to get through $5 on the Australian exchange before we can say that we can have a shot of getting up into this 8 area. So, in that regard, Bannerman looks okay. Back into some tighter looking stuff. It's still just bouncing along, grinding away. The monthly higher low is set at 285. So it's all about getting over 407. So then we can rightfully say, hey, maybe we can test this 450 to 480 range. All right. So the daily, weekly, let's look at the weekly. Hard rejection here. Looks a little reversal-ish with this upper wick, just as much as this lower wick looks reversal. Inverted hammer on the weekly. There's a hammer on the weekly. So, the Australian names, Bannerman is just telling you from a technical standpoint, don't get all crazy with me, you Aussies, about, the fundamentals. Okay. I do believe that the water problems actually have started to get fixed in Namibia. I think that's where these guys are, right? So that could be a positive for Bannerman from the fundamental side. But when this thing wicks, it gives you signs. All right? When it wicks, it gives you signs. When it wicks, it gives you signs. Starting to wick. That's all I will say about it from a technical standpoint. You fundamental guys can do whatever you want with that. Daily charts. Yeah, it broke down on Friday below Thursday's high. Maybe it wants this gap. The most important level in the short term is this daily double bottom at 332. Plenty of room to make a higher low compared to that level. So, yes, the positive is push through. The negative is it didn't follow through on that push through. So now we just need to see, does it make a pivot um, as opposed to this higher low to confirm that there's a possibility of a daily trend change follow through, right? So you have your daily trend change, low, high, higher, low, higher, high. There's some follow through there. We want to make a higher low compared to this level and continue on to make the next leg to start to fight this resistance up here. That's what Bannerman is. Does anybody even care about Boss Energy anymore after the complete and absolute cluster? Probably not. And the chart is showing you, right? So this had this downward channel. CEO sold out of everything. Insiders are just selling it. I think it's ISR. It's not doing well, yada, yada, yada. I don't care about Boss, but it's been a big name, so we do have to look. Is the weekly giving us any signs? Not really. Is there anything different from this bounce as opposed to any of these bounces? No, right? There's obviously a very major fundamental news driven thing that killed this stock, and it's still just rejecting and riding down. There's no reason to be looking long on this chart and on this name. Does the daily show us anything? Well, okay. Is it? Yeah, this is a nice grind, okay? This is a really nice grind with no pivot. So now, um, can you say the bottom's in? No, you can't. But can you say that the bottom is possibly in if we get something like this, right? Do we make a higher low? Do you get something like this? That's what your eyes should be on, okay? Then you can safely say, hey, there's a possibility this bottom is in on Boss. I'm not interested in a name. Maybe you are, but that's what I would be looking for. Deep yellow. Monthly charts looks fine, right? Much better looking chart. So why would I look at Boss when I could look at deep yellow? When deep yellow is continually just grinding up. Monthly higher low is set. Let's get to the weekly here. Okay, so the higher lows are set here. And this is actually where I would say a higher low was set. Even the weekly higher low was set here. So to be really tight for someone, and is it really tight on a weekly chart? Well, that's up to you to decide. Even with the weekly higher low is set, there's no follow through. Typical of an Australian name, it just does this type of stuff and then releases and whatnot. Okay, but it's a good impulsive move on increasing volume. So that's a good look as well. Okay. Daily chart, what is it telling us? Just consolidation. A little bit some gap here too, but I'm not ready to move this alert pivot yet. I am still of the opinion that $1.78.5 is the support to hold right now. If it builds something up here, then maybe we can revisit it, right? So this is, again, it's deep yellow. The liquidity is low. It's going to be a gaparama. Gaps have a little less importance to me when that's the case. They fill, they don't, whatever, right? So most important level is Dow 1.785 on deep yellow. Just to look at this monthly, yeah. That's it, man. Monthly high or low, if you really want to be giving it some room, it's $1.53 area to know that, okay, maybe this trend is just not resuming anymore. And you'd have to be looking for reversals and pivots and whatnot. So the weekly is your friend here, I would say, for those who are trying to define risk. Lotus, not my favorite, not the greatest. There is chatter about it. Downtrend continuing, basing, right? And it's still going to be looking for a weekly higher low. Just on the zoom in part, there's a nice little pivot. So one could say that this down here at this 16 cents level is probably a support area, but the truth is that your base here is at like 15 cents. This little undercut is whatever it is. I would say that this undercut could be used for those bottom fishing this base. If it comes down to this base, it probably ends up being a decent bottom fish, and there's your risk definition here down here. So it's doing a little bit of work, not enough to say anything has changed with the chart. It's just basing for Lotus. Paladin, another all-time favorite, better look, right? A large recipient of the last big run before the Fukushima knockdowns, right? So it's still working through all of this, and it's still just basing. This is just a long, long base. One could say there's a potential. People aren't going to like this, but sorry to say, friends, you have a pretty decent monthly head and shoulders shaping up here. We just have to be aware of left shoulder, neckline, head, neckline, coming back into left shoulder, right shoulder territory. So people are going to say, the crayons, you don't know what you're talking about. Well, that's on you, okay? I'm just aware of these things. I do have a position in Paladin. I am up. Well, they're free, actually, because I got 100% in it and I sold half. So I'm not overly concerned about Paladin until it starts coming up here. If it starts coming up here, I'll be a seller. That's just how it is. Sillex, last one on the list. Beautiful, beautiful chart. And this is another one where I am in free shares because I got my 100% move and I sold half. Um, and I know that there was some major news that really killed this stock, but still, I'm still way, way up. I'm still up like 200% or whatever it is. I forget what it is. I got to look, but yeah, maybe, just maybe, I'll be looking to add on this absolute capitulatory pain, depending on how it looks, right? So it is a daily bear flag. No two ways about it. So is it possible that it could, this daily lower high is set because it failed to get over and now it breached these lows, and so it's heading back down again. The weekly, I mean, Jesus. Yeah, so it burnt through that whole base. There's been some dip buyers coming in at this former breakout resistance level. So, from a technical standpoint, all this is a weekly backtest of its breakout. And those weekly backtests, breakout backtests, well, they tend to get bought. And this one's getting bought. Is it enough to move the needle? Well, the daily chart is saying no at the moment. So the next question is, does this low hold? And that's going to be the deal for Sillex right now. I would assume there's going to be a lot of work to get back up here. That's it on the Aussies. Over and out. Yeah, I mean, if it does pay to, Aura Energy, there's a reason to look at this stock. There's a reason to follow it. One can contend fundamentally that there's a reason to own it. I am not in the name. The liquidity is horrendous. But Sweden is changing its tune on their uranium mining ban. So if that occurs, it stands to reason that this name benefits. How does that play out in price action? I don't know. Right now, it's searching for the monthly higher low, and technically it's set by a half a penny. So it deserves an alert. It deserves an alert here to see if this holds. You look as I look, you get stuck with me putting some sort of alerts. And by the way, this is just a testament to the fact that I don't pre-look at this stuff because I'm setting alerts as I'm doing a video, which is probably a no-no, but whatever. I'm not a click farmer. So it's absolutely true. It is absolutely case that your major resistance on this name is 41.5 cents. It has proven that over the past 5 years. That's the spot to get over. One would assume that there will be buy stops there too. All right, Aura Energy probably just, again, Swedish mining ban lifted could do something for this name. That's about as much as I can say. I'll let you fundamental people do the rest of the work as far as that's concerned. Aussie, 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 Devils over now.